Hello and welcome. We have today a webinar on the end-to-end in-house AI and data in-store insights at scale. And my name is Jerome Thiebaud. I am the VP of Marketing at Centific, and I am very proud to moderating this webinar today. And we have some amazing guests today to present this webinar, and I'm going to be introducing them. We have Meher Dinesh Naroju. He is our Director AI Data Services at Centific. Hello, Meher. And we have Surya Prabha Vadlamani, VP Enterprise AI Solutions at Cognitive Engineering at Centific. Hello, Prabha. Jagadish Garimella here, our SVP Consumer Services Vertical at Centific. Hello, Jagadish. And Wayne Akoka, our Head of Retail and CPG Solutions at Centific. And we are currently in our beautiful studio here in Redmond, and as well in our lab in Hyderabad in India. And so it's really exciting to have this global footprint at Centific. So I'm going to jump right in, and Jagadish, I'm going to jump right into our first question. What challenges are retailers facing today in their day-to-day management of stores?
Yeah, firstly, thank you. Lovely to be here. It's great setting, like Jerome, you talked about. Couldn't pick a better setting to talk about some of the challenges. Retailers talk about several different challenges with us, but primarily I would distill it down to two challenges around associate efficiencies and understanding consumer behavior. Right? Associate efficiency is a very broad topic. Right? An associate does a lot of things in the store, front of the store, middle of the store, back of the store, helping customers. So they have myriad of responsibilities, and some of the problems have been accentuated by labor shortages, pandemic. The theme of 2023 is do more with less, but as an industry, I think retail, and broadly speaking, that includes QSR, groceries, specialty retailers, C-store, etc., they have been forced to do more with less from an associate standpoint, right? So that as a problem comes up very, very prominently in our conversations. Now, the second challenge that that retailers talk to us is around understanding consumer behavior. Now, if you rewind the clock, end of 2019, 2020, consumer behavior changed dramatically from what we knew as a reality, right? Everybody went offline, the behavior changed tremendously. Now, fast forward to 23, I was at a partner conference, a week ago. I saw a stat that it is flipping from where consumers are preferring to shop these days, right? So consumer behavior is shifting, and what we knew traditionally is shifting at a faster pace than most retailers can catch up with, right? If you look at consumer behavior, it is everything from what a consumer does at a store, right? For example, there is no pattern to how you shop, right? Depending on your needs, your necessities, your family settings, so on and so forth, you behave differently in a store setting. Most consumers rely on data, which is a little bit dated. And they're after this, hey, can I get a little bit more near real time, or even real time for that matter, right? How a consumer looks at a shelf, what is their behavior, the moment of truth, what does it mean, right? They're after this, the data that comes in near real time, so that they're able to better serve the customer, maximize profitability, right? Retailers traditionally operate with thin margins. So for them, these two challenges are paramount.
Brilliant. And I'm going to ask the same question to Prabha.
Yes. I would like to speak from the technology perspective. The challenges, we know the business challenges out there, but how do we solve them? So from the technology perspective, there are many tools, especially in the AI space. For example, we can use technology like computer vision to observe the customers in the stores. How are they behaving? What is that? There's something we can do to serve them better, enrich their experience. to digitize the store shelves to see how the products are moving over the period of time in a day. Or we can also study the buying patterns of customers by observing the historical point of sales data to see what business strategies are working. However, getting the right data is the crux of the issue, to be able to address these challenges of the retailers.
So now I'm going to be talking to our own Wayne Akoka. So when you've been in the retail business, you've been wearing those shoes of retailers on the floor, and now you've been a retail technology. And so how do you go about solving those challenges?
Well, that's a great question. I think, we at Centific want to make sure that we're really human-centric. So Jagadish was talking about associate efficiencies. So where we start for sure is understanding what the pains on the ground are. Oftentimes, a lot of companies go about solving it from a reporting standpoint. It's kind of, what do I want to see at a headquarter level? What kind of data do I want to see aggregated, etc. But at the end of the day, the magic happens at the store, at the contact of the customers. So for 3 of our solutions, we really took that approach first. The number one was Scout, which is our behavior anomaly detection solution. For this one, it was very simple. We know that the staff has to do a lot of stuff, prepare grocery pickup, stock the shelves, take care of customers. But the number one thing that hits the retailer's P&L is shrink and theft, right? How do I make sure that my associates are alerted in real time to occurrences of shrink, occurrences of violence sometimes, unfortunately, and also occurrences of customer needing help. So how can we leverage technology to be able to give you that real-time insight, that 100% consistent coverage in store, right? And we do that with computer vision, leveraging the cameras, and notifying your staff directly with either a text message, an email, an alert on their associate app, or directly in their earpiece to say, aisle 5, somebody needs help, etc. So that's for kind of the safety and the experience in store. The other one that we're thinking about is, and we've worked on, is Lighthouse. And as you can see here, there's kind of empty shelves, so that's very proper to the problem, and that's done on purpose. This one is to say 5%, 3 to 5% of retail revenue is dictated by how well you execute your strategy in the store, how well everything is displayed, how well can you be, and how good you can be at consistently having product in stock. So when we observed that, we saw that on average for a 4-foot section, associates have to look at 80 products in average, and they have to check their price, their position, their in-stock, etc. A typical retail store in America, your top 3 carries around 40 to 50,000 products. If you have to do that every day, it would take you days. So it's impossible. So we focus on the associate efficiency. We focus on how can they get their lists, their tasks, a list of tasks to perform in the store, to correct pricing, to correct phantom inventory, etc. So we are leveraging, again, computer vision on mobile to be able to walk through the store and then get the task list ready for them every single morning and be able to perform and how we say, assign tasks more efficiently to your staff. So instead of one person handling pricing, in stock, whatever, for one alley, they're able to do it to say, hey, you two take care of pricing for the whole store, you two the inventory, etc. So there's a lot of efficiencies for the associate, but also from a P&L perspective. And the final thing is when we come to, Jagadish was mentioning it, like having real-time data, being able to be very, very resilient in your management of a retail business. It's also to make sure that when you're doing demand planning, do you really understand your customer? Where are they going to buy? How do they buy? At what price do they buy? When will they buy? To create systems like our demand planning system, Meerkat, that are able to take into account force majeure events like we've had in the past years, supply chain issues, etc., and still being able to be very accurate at predicting, the demand and subsequently what customers are going to see on the shelf.
That's awesome. So Lighthouse, Scout, and Meerkat are the solutions from Centific. And I'm going to be turning now to Prabha. So Prabha, from a retailer point of view and from a technology point of view, what are the critical things that the retailers have to take into account when they want to gather data and insights at the store level?
Yeah. So as I have mentioned earlier, retailers need the right data to derive the right insights to take the right strategic steps. So when we talk about AI models, data is all that we need. So AI ML models are as good as the data they're trained on. So not just the volume of data, but the variety and veracity of the data is very important. So obtaining data from multiple resources is one aspect. And we also need to regularly keep our AI models relevant as the time progresses. So automating the data governance to detect any data anomalies upstream or observe the drift in the data patterns, automating the model training and deploying the latest, the best performing models with MLOps technologies. These are the keys to scalability, and again, everything revolves around the right data to get the right insights.
To summarize, data is key to ensure accuracy and scalability, and that's what's giving us that piece. So I'm going to turn now to Meher. So Meher, how do we go about solving the data piece?
Thank you for that question, Jerome. Right. So absolutely. So data is the key component to increase accuracy or even while we are talking about to scale an AI solution, right? And it's very critical that we solve the challenge of the data piece for any AI solution, right? Before it gets into the live, into the production state. It should be retailer for CPG or for that matter, any industry, right? So the data as a challenge, if I have to break it down into few simple buckets, from the experience what we gather at Centific, talking to a lot of our clients is, the first of it is the data collection phase, right? The collection in itself is very tricky, and when we are talking about the data collection for industries like retail CPG here, the entire process of collection, right? The environment which we need to collect the data, right? And the access we have to the real-time data, which needs to be eventually collected, fed into the AI model for training, becomes really, really critical, right? Sometimes it is for humans, it is obvious that we might not really go into the details, but when we are trying to train an AI model, something which is very obvious to the human, also needs to be nailed down and broken down into simple steps. And data has to be collected in multiple ways. Like, for example, I can quickly ask one of my colleagues, there, Wayne, sitting in the lab, when can you pick up the Cheetos packet, from beside you and tell, right? So the data collection piece, I'll tell you how it impacts, right? So while Cheetos is there in the shelf, collecting a front-on image and labeling it and feeding into the model is pretty easy. But the data collection here becomes very critical because that product placed in the shelf has to be collected from multiple angles. And if you have taken a notice of how it was before and now how it is placed back, when Wayne picked it up, put it back, that is also very critical. Even all those angles has to be collected, even the compressions which happens on the product, the reflections of the light and all that. So the data collection piece is very critical, right? The next thing, if I have to talk about, is the whole technology aspect, right? As you might imagine, we cannot really go about collecting or go into the every retail store and collecting thousands and millions of images, right? So technology comes into the play where we are looking at and talking to many customers or prospects as well. And how do we shorten the life cycle of data collection, right? The entire process. So we are talking about and investing on synthetic data generation, right? And that's to solve the problem of data collection. But the technology also plays a lot of important role when it comes to improving the speeds of annotation and labeling of the data. to create high quality training data sets which can be fed into the AI models for better accuracy and outputs basically, right? So the technology aspect is also very critical, to be part of this entire uh, s- solution, right? We need to have a very robust technology platform which can which should be AI infused and probably do a lot of pre-labeling and annotation process, and to be able to solve the scalability issues the retailers will go through, right? And finally, the quality itself, right? You figured out the data collection challenge and probably you have high tech technology, but if you're automating everything with technology and not focusing on quality, you're going to fall flat, irrespective of the amount of data you might have and the kind of a model you will build. So the importance of quality of the data which goes in is very highly, I cannot emphasize more on it, right? And that's where we bring in, and that's where we emphasize with all our customers the importance of having humans in the loop, right? So the entire process of reinforcement learning with human feedback, right, is a massive game changer in the approach what we are taking, right? And we have access to about 1 million gig workers across the globe who can annotate and basically give feedback on the model outputs and help increase the accuracy and help the models to be consistent and relevant, eventually leading to better overall performance, right? So Jerome, back to you. That's how I would sum it up on solving the data challenge.
Studio in Redmond, Washington. And Prabha, as you know, the retail landscape is incredibly dynamic, and we know that our great solutions, Scout, Meerkat, Lighthouse, are totally adequate for today's world. But what happens if we have unseen or never seen use cases? What happens?
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, scalability is part of our technological approach. So let's talk about Scout, right? So it has a configurable pattern recognition engine. So Wayne was talking about how do you, detect certain customer behavior, understand the pattern. Probably it is leading to something unpleasant, or some customer needs some help. So this pattern recognition engine of Scout, we define new patterns. It's completely configurable to detect a specific behavior, and it could be any behavior, as I said, suspicious behavior or an opportunity to assist the customer. And if we talk about Lighthouse, right, there will be tens of new products getting into the shelves regularly. Even the products keep changing their packaging, the appearance keep changing. So our Lighthouse solution is actually designed to be able to detect those products from a picture with minimal retraining of the models. And as I talked about the ML ops, so we have the end-to-end automated pipeline for retraining and redeploying the models. And we also use certain techniques like low shot and few shot learning, wherein it quickly we can onboard new categories and new products to Lighthouse. So if we talk about Meerkat, right? So we include a variety of data there. So the scalability aspect comes in the variety of data, the different kind of insights that we can bring in. Say, let's say for along with the historical point of sales data that we use and the trade promotion information. So we include a variety of other features to understand the buying patterns, for different products, such as macroeconomic factors, weather-related influencers like hurricanes, cyclones, etc. Gasoline prices also, to mention a few. Also, while I was talking about the how quickly we can adapt the dynamic nature of the retail. So I would like to add a little bit more about the Meerkat engine, right? So in machine learning, it's all about we need to choose the right algorithm that can explain the patterns of your features to your outcome, such as the sales forecast. That's the key to have the better forecasting results. So more often than not, it won't be a one size fits all solution. And when we have thousands of SKUs, choosing the best algorithm independently for each product is practically impossible. And that's not the right way to go about it. So the Meerkat is a highly scalable and completely automated engine. to try out multiple algorithms, see which model fits it the best for a particular product, its data patterns, and pick the right algorithm independently for each SKU and deploy the best fitting model into the production. And this total pipeline is completely dynamic. So that's the kind of technology we infuse into our platforms to address this ever-changing retail landscape.
Yeah, from a data standpoint.
Absolutely, and it's very interesting, right? We are in a world still trying to figure out how do we capture and digitize the data what we can see, but quickly we also need to start considering the unseen and unknown use cases as well, right? For our AI models, if they want to be really successful and outperform human intelligence in a way so that it can add value to the business, right? So when it comes to solving the data challenge for unseen and unforeseen, I did slightly touch upon our capability of generating synthetic data, right? For a myriad of use cases, at a click of a button, we can generate, multiple scenarios, environments, play with the shades of the light, the product placements, on the shelves, various scenarios, not just with the products, but also when we talked about Scout, the behavior anomaly, we can generate, a lot of um, um, what was the word you use, Wayne, right? So occurrences, right? So a lot of occurrences we can generate, right? Various scenarios. It could be theft or shrink, or could be a fight or anything, right? So with the use of synthetic data, we can generate, and we could eventually collect a lot of this data and augment it with high quality annotation and labeling with the power of technology on one former, the active learning and pre-labeling the process, and eventually perfect it so that it becomes high quality for the model consumption through our human in the loop process what we have, right? So that sums up, pretty much how I would say even we have the capability to even tackle the problem of unseen and unknown use cases which might come up in the future.
I'm going to turn to you, and I'm going to ask you the most exciting question. So, those are very tough challenges to solve, and tell us, why do you think our customers are trusting you, trusting us to go with us?
Yeah, no. So as we've talked about it, right? So AI at scale is not easy. It's not for everyone to solve, right? With the advancements in technology, generative AI, and so on and so forth. But AI to solve a vertical business problem and to do it at scale requires a lot of complexities that Prabha, Wayne, Meher all touched about, right? And it requires all of these components to come together in a cohesive way, and which is what makes us really unique, right? And customers, when they talk to us, they see that breadth and depth of knowledge that we bring to the table, and our track record of working with both small, medium, and large enterprises, and a track record of working with them for longevity. I mean, we've been in business for 25 years. We've recently rebranded to Centific.
Right.
So we have a track record. That's number one. Number two, the end-to-end expertise, which is the theme of this webinar, is extremely crucial because things pop up, like you talked about unforeseen situations, things pop up, and when we talk about AI deployments at scale at enterprises, it's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
And something we are very well equipped to handle, right? Number three, we have devoted resources towards both R&D, and you talked about our global spread, right? I mean, we've got R&D centers across the globe. The fact that we are able to tap into this talent, I mean, physical spaces like these, combining all of that to build solid accelerators and foundations to accelerate the journey and prove ROI to our customers, that's number three.
That's brilliant. So 25 years of experience, end-to-end deployment, global experience, that's brilliant. So final question, I'm going to turn to Wayne here. What have been the most interesting insights that you've been able to solve?
Yeah, I think that's the best part of my job. Every day, learning from the customers and trying to find, value-added challenges to solve. I have a couple that come to mind. One is very simple, right? We always talk about understanding your consumer, and we don't understand them in physical space. So it's very interesting for retailers, especially those in clothing, to understand, like, hey, what type of clothes are people wearing? Right? What's the majority color? And sometimes you'll notice that a lot of people walk in with hats, yet there's no hats in the assortment. And that's kind of like an aha moment. But it's really getting to really understand your customer in physical space, of course. There's other ones like assortment optimization. Some of those problems we've seen in the past, and leveraging the Meerkat solution we were talking about, you get results that are very extreme. In one category, we got to the results of saying, eliminate half of your products, phase them out, and you'll have the same revenue. So it saved them money on number of touches. They got the same revenue. It was more efficient, and it was more shoppable from a consumer perspective. And that was quite interesting. The final thing also around pricing, we see that quite a bit, is when you have, for example, back-to-school promotions, etc. You always have promotions. Everything is cheaper at that time. But is there really an ROI for CPG companies or retailers? No, because you've been doing the same promotion for 25 years. It's already baked in. So you're not getting that lift, and removing it doesn't actually impact you because people still have to buy pens. They still have to buy backpacks, etc. So those kind of like big objective measures and data really trigger very interesting behavioral changes for our customers, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I mean, all of those technical questions really translates into more affordable products for our customers. For in those difficult times, it translates into more affordable pens, more affordable products, and that's what we're in the business for as well. There is a direct translation between those very technical products into the day-to-day products that people can afford. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to turn to Prabha for the final examples on those great insights.
Yeah, I would like to state an example from the technology providing solution, from the technology standpoint. So one of the use cases the customers would want is, generating a heat map of people, probably by tracking them from multiple cameras, multiple people moving in the store space. So that's one of the biggest challenges from the technology standpoint, and quite interesting, for that matter.
A few final words.
No, it's exciting time, like you said, at the beginning. The environment is changing dynamically. Every day is different. Every day it's a new challenge, both from a macroeconomic, social, geographical, political. In all this comes an opportunity, and we are here to make sure that our customers, specifically in the consumer vertical, are able to tap into the resources that we are able to offer, and deal with the challenges and the uncertainties that come retailers' way. So just a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Stay tuned for our next webinar. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.